even though I don't understand Spanish, I understand the language, the message you're carrying. I see fire in your eyes. I see determination. I have two questions. What brings you most joy when you're doing what you do? And second, what's your biggest obstacle doing what you're doing? Thank you. And how to say thank you in your language?
Gracias se dice chaltumay. Chaltumay. Sí, thank you, gracias. Chaltumay. Gracias por tus palabras. Sí, justamente cuando intercambiábamos conocimiento con los hermanos Cherokee, ellos decían que eran la gente del fuego. Nosotros también nos identificamos mucho porque para nosotros el fuego es un abuelo espiritual.
Thank you so much for your words. And yeah, we were able to connect with some Cherokee people here, and they said that they are called the fire people, and it was really beautiful to see that connection because yeah, fire is very, very good. And we identify with the fire as well. And as a grandfather, as an elder.
No es fácil hacer la música que hacemos porque la música en idioma nativo no genera catch, no genera dinero. Entonces, hoy día hay que cantar de fiesta, de alcohol, y eso genera dinero. Pero la música de nosotros, como no es un negocio, no llega a las grandes discos, a las grandes disqueras.
And nowadays, native music doesn't generate any money. Now to generate money or to get money, you have to talk about partying or alcohol, but this doesn't generate money. Our music doesn't make any money or make a business. We don't profit off of it.
Mayoritariamente la música que siempre está de moda es la música que habla de fiestas. Entonces sería, para nosotros es una lucha, es un camino, tratar de dar vuelta esa realidad y que la música con mensaje espiritual, la música con mensaje social también se ponga de moda. Sería genial estar bailando una música con un mensaje limpio.
And that's why the music that it is mainstream right now, it is the music that is talking about music, party and alcohol, and it will be great if we could like turn around this path and to make it a reality for us to change the message, especially, and make it about something socially, and may also make it something mainstream and give a cleaner message.
Bueno, y para terminar, la música para mí es la wen en idioma mapuche, es sanación. La música es sanación, la música también es una psicóloga que uno tiene, un psicólogo que uno tiene. La música te hace sanar, te hace crecer internamente como persona. Eso, Chaltumay, muchas gracias.
For us, the Mapuche music, it's healing. It's our psychologist. It heals and it makes us grow. So that's why I really, really love what I do. Thank you very much.
Buju Ginawa, Paul Indigenous, Gakavi Kang and Dunjaba, Minawa, Gazaga Squadron, Makak, and Binda Gay, B.E. Gaz, Adusha, Wasazi, and Dudain. So what I said is hello, everyone. My name is Paul. I'm from Minneapolis. I'm enrolled in the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, and I'm from the Bullhead clan. And I'm happy to be here with you all today. So I'm gonna talk about, my music a little bit. So I think the question was, is there a theme within my music? And I feel like that's best answered by my listeners. I feel like I've most often been termed a conscious hip hop artist. It's not necessarily something that I strived for. I just, when I decided that I was gonna do this as a career and do it full time, I decided that I wanted to do music with a message that inspired people, motivated people, and empowered people, first and foremost. And as I got further into my career, I also embraced my humanness and my imperfection, and the fact that I grew up listening to the likes of Tupac, Biggie. I listened to gangster rap, I listened to party music and stuff like that, but I also listened to conscious music, and I think that envelops who we are as human beings in a whole manner, right? Like, I'm not in ceremony every day being super spiritual on a daily basis 24/7. Sometimes I like to, kick it and dance with my lady or something, you know what I mean? And sometimes that involves listening to like inappropriate music and stuff. It's part of being human, so I embrace my humanness. So nowadays I'm still primarily, I guess you would say, a conscious hip hop artist, and that tends to be what I most focus on probably 80-90% of the time. But other times, when I'm with some guys who just want to make a fun track about, the summer and being out at the beach or something like that, I can get down with that too, So that kind of describes my music in the general theme. Definitely, conscious hip hop. I talk about things that are important to my community, my native community, communities of color, just issues in the world that are going on. Those are the things that I tend to talk about most, but sometimes I just have a little fun with it too. And the song I'm gonna be sharing today is called Prayers in a Song. And the reason I wrote this song is because I grew up in a household that was, I guess you would say, fully assimilated. The boarding school, have y'all heard of boarding schools? Yeah. So boarding schools, they originated in the 19th century and like the 1870s or so. And it was General Pratt, Richard Henry Pratt, that coined the term, kill the Indian, save the man, and he created boarding schools, which were, what they did was they would go to native communities, they would go to our tribal communities and strip our babies and our kids from their families forcibly. And they would take them to these schools to make them more like the white man. They would chop our hair off. They would put soap in our mouth if we spoke our languages. They wouldn't allow us to speak our languages with one another. They would put kids in jail cells. Kids would get killed. Kids would get starved. If kids tried to run away, they would get killed. Or they might get away but not know how to survive out in the wilderness trying to get back to their family and die that way. So as a result of that and that intergenerational trauma and the impact of that, starting in the 1800s, but really long before that with the arrival of Europeans, centuries before. My family, when I was growing up in the 1990s, I didn't know the language. My family didn't know the language. My family didn't practice the culture, so I grew up in a household without the culture and the language, but I did know that I was native. I was told, like, okay, you're Ojibwe. But I had this question as a young kid, like, what does that mean? What does it mean to be Ojibwe? What does it mean to be native? Because I don't hear our language, I don't see our culture. I would go to powwows and that would be about it. And then as I got a little bit older, around like my teenage years, I experienced my first sweat lodge. And I started to get closer to my culture and my language, but still not a whole lot. There's roughly 50,000 Ojibwe speakers, but that's spread all across the United States and Canada. That's not in any one compact area. So it's not easy to find fluent speakers of our language, and learning it as a child is the easiest thing to do. Like, who here remembers learning their first language? Like, does anybody remember that? Like, I don't remember learning English, I just know it, So when I started trying to learn it as an adult, it was very difficult, For one, Ojibwe is one of the most complex languages. It was actually in the Guinness Book of Records or something. Like, you can conjugate a verb 1,000 different ways. But for two, I just didn't have the genuine interest, having grown up in mainstream society in the inner city. I grew up more around hip hop and, more around sports and things like that. And those were the things I was naturally interested in. And anytime I heard about language or culture, it was presented in a very, I guess, not interesting way. Like Luanko said, he puts his music to hip hop beats because it gives it style and it gives it rhythm and it makes it attracting to the youth, right? So the way the culture and the language were presented to me to me as a young kid was often just like, sitting down in a circle and it's just an elder talking to us, kind of preaching to us and not really making it engaging. So my idea for making this song was to put the language to a hip hop track because it is such a universal music genre that is appreciated worldwide. And I figure it will attract the youth at a young age and make them interested in learning the language or their own language. And I've had some success with that. Since I made this song, I've been contacted by people all over the world saying that they were inspired to learn their own languages or my language. And that was ultimately the goal, And so when I was in the process of writing this song, I had some pushback through the grapevine because in the Native community, they say, hip hop, that's not traditional, that's not spiritual, that's not cultural. You shouldn't be mixing the language with hip hop, they would tell me. And I didn't believe that, I didn't agree with that. And had I listened to that, and this was coming from elders, mind you, but not all elders are open-minded and, understand the importance of being able to modernize things for the youth. So I talked to my language instructor and I talked to some of my elders I was closer to, and I asked them what their thoughts on it were, and they're like, if you believe you are called to do this and if you, in your spirit, you feel that this is important to do, then you should do it. So I did it, and when I wrote this song, I wrote it entirely in English, and I had a classmate help me translate the chorus. And when we translated the chorus, we went over it, and I started practicing it to the beat. And there's an 8-bar hook structure in the beat. And the translation had to fit perfectly within that 8-bar structure, and I was scared that it wouldn't. I was worried it wouldn't because the language, it's complex. And when I practiced the hook, it fit perfectly to the hook structure of the beat. And it also rhymed naturally, like I didn't have to force it to rhyme. And I was like, okay, that's all the sign I need from the creator to tell me that this was supposed to happen. Like, we translated the chorus, it fit perfectly to the hook structure, and it rhymed. I was like, man, that's amazing. Like, I was blown away by that. I was sure we were gonna have to make some changes or do some things to try to force it to fit, but I didn't have to. So that right there was my answer from the creator. Like, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. So I did it. And yeah, I guess I'll perform that song for y'all now. Yeah, it's called Prayers in a Song. I'll talk a little more about it after this too. I feel the latent effects of assimilation in a city native, raised by bright lights and skyscrapers, born with dim prospects, little peace in living as a child. I headed about the fact I wasn't wild like they called my ancestors. Imagine what it'd be to live nomadic off the land and free. Instead, I was full of feet like a furnace, cause I wasn't furnished with the language and traditional ways of my peeps. Yeah, I used to feel like I wasn't truly indigenous. Now I say me quit, get your money due for showing me my true roots. Definitely native, take responsibility for being educated. My people and customs originating from early phases of history. It's deeper than fried bread and contest powwows. Tears shed in the sweat lodge. Prayers go out to all those I've wronged and who have wronged me. Gotta treat them like family. Get your money due, we do kawashin. Jimashko is a yan, me dush permit, it is a yan. Me shishanam, zagit iway when gnu shishanam, is in there with shanam. Me wayne jinaga moyan. Ni mishomis, we do kawashanam. Je a budget too young, and nishanabe is your twawin. Me chip it, you came to my kaya, nishanabe be my dizzy win. Becoming aware of our heartbeats, fragility, so I pray for my creator's will and humility. It seems my prayer's weak, I can't speak, not a linguist. Does he hear my English when I vent? I feel the answer to the question. This is symbolic of anguish. I feel regarded language and the obligation of revitalizing something sacred. Failure to carry through is disgracing a nation. My first tongue's in need of a facelift, but deciphering conjugations like trying to find my way through a maze in the matrix. Complex, hard to start without an end, aside from being fluent. I gotta push the limit if I'm gonna keep pursuing. So I use it in a way that relates to my life and vocab. Bring some entertainment to it, spit it on a track, and I take it out the class. Can't let what I lack become a self-defeating habit that'll make me wanna quit. Get your money due, we do kawashin. Jamushka wiziyan, me Dutch bumit, it is yan. Me shishanam, zagit iway, when gnu jishanam, this and that with shanam. Me wayne janaga moyan, ni mashomas, we do kawashanam. Jit I budget too young, and nishanabe is your twawan. Me jit bit, you came to mind, kaya nishanabe, be my dizzy win. So that song is called Prayers in a Song. I just want to share the translation of the chorus with y'all. So, in my language, Gitchi means great, money do means spirit. So, Gitchi money do means great spirit, or what we might call God, Allah, or whatever your culture may refer to that spirit as. Get your money do is great spirit. It's funny because some people, when they hear this song, they'll be like, are you saying get your money, dude? And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying get your money do. But yeah, so the translation is get your money do. We do kawashin, jamushka wiziyan. That's great spirit. Help me to be strong. So j, it's like a prefix that means in order to. So get your money do. We do cow means help. So get your money do, we do kawashin, jamushkauziyan. Mushkauzi is strong. So great spirit, help me to be strong. That's the first line of that prayer. And the song is called Prayers in a Song. So that is an actual prayer. You could use these lyrics to pray if you want to. The next one is me dush bomit idiziyan, so that I can help myself. Good news, Yishanam, Bizendow with Shanam. It's talk to us, hear us. Me Wanji Nugga Moyan, that is why I am singing. So me Wanji, it's like that is why. And then Nugga Mo is sing. So Nugga Moyan is like I'm singing. So me Wanji Nugga Moyan, that is why I am singing. Nima Shomis, we do cow with Shanam, Jit I budget too young, Anishinaabe is your twawin. Grandfather help us to use the Anishinaabe customs. Me jit big, you came to mind, Kaya, Anishinaabe, but my dizzy win. So that we'll know how to live the Anishinaabe way of life or the good life. So in English, that chorus translates to, Great Spirit, help me to be strong so that I can help myself. Show us all love, talk to us, hear us. That is why I'm singing. Grandfather, which is another term for Great Spirit, is just like an interchangeable term. Grandfather, help us to use the Anishinaabe customs so that we'll know how to live the Anishinaabe way or the good way. So live in a good way. So that's the translation of the chorus. It's an actual prayer song. And again, I wrote this song out of a place of, reminiscing on my childhood and what it felt like to have that gap within my spirit that needed to be bridged. And when I got older, I was able to access that culture and language. I learned the language mostly in college. I had been exposed to it a little bit in my younger years, but not enough. In college, I got to learn the language a lot more. My language teacher would bring us to his house. He would invite his students to his house, and he would talk the language with us. He would feast spiritual items. We would have feasts and sing prayer songs that we would also sing in the Sweat Lodge. And that is where I really got connected to my culture and language a lot more. And one of the things he told me was that what you do for the language will do for you. And I was just like, before I graduate college and before I discontinue studying the language as much as I have been, because I knew that I was gonna be more focused on family, being a father, doing hip hop, trying to make a living in this capitalist world that is so hard to do so in. I was like, well, I want to leave my mark on the language. I want to do something powerful for it. So I made this song as my contribution to our language revitalization efforts. And that's why I made the song. I want to say a little bit about some of the spiritual teachings, of my people. Like long hair, they'll say that to some. And this is kind of going back to the example of the elders telling me I shouldn't have spoke the language in hip hop. You know, sometimes our elders are not always right, and sometimes our cultural traditions are not always right. And even within our own tribe, the Ojibwe tribe, not everybody agrees all the time. A lot of it is very subjective. I might go to one sweat lodge where they'll say, oh no, we don't allow no non-natives in this sweat lodge ceremony. I might go to another sweat lodge where they say, oh, well, we don't allow men and women to do sweat lodge together. We don't allow co-ed sweat lodge ceremonies. And then there'll be others who do allow non-natives to come into the sweat lodge, and there'll be others who do allow men and women to sweat together. So in between all of these different people who are in the same tribe, we have different teachings, and it's all very subjective, and not always is everything right for everybody. So there was an instance I was asked to speak at a school recently because this kid was being bullied for his long hair. The kids in school were calling him a girl and things like that. And I had to go talk to those kids and let them know, like, no, our long hair is a symbol of our strength. It's like our roots. It roots us to the earth. It makes us closer to the earth. It makes us more powerful. And our men wear long hair, you know, and that's a symbol of power. But I also made sure to say that do not feel like because you have short hair that you aren't as powerful, because you're still powerful. The thing about our humanness is that we are human, but I was taught that we were spiritual beings before humans. And therefore, spirituality and our spiritual selves is at the top. You know, our humanness is temporary. But I've had spiritual experiences and I've seen spirits, and I know that's kind of crazy to say in the public like this, but I know that there is a spiritual existence within us and out in the universe, and I know that before we come here we're spirits, and after we leave here we're spirits. So I always make sure that I try to speak to the power of that first before our human differences. So when there's kids in the crowd and I was talking about the power of our long hair, I make sure to let them know, don't feel like if your hair is short that you're not as powerful, because that's between you and your creator. That's between you and your understanding and your relationship with the creator, you know. That's not true for everybody, you know what I mean? Because although that belief will empower me because I have long hair, it doesn't empower everybody else who doesn't have long hair, you know what I mean? And I've heard similar things about the language. They'll say, well, if you don't pray in the language, well, then the creator can't hear you. Well, I mean, here I am today, and I'm not fluent in the language, but here I am today with you all as a result of my prayers, and the creator definitely heard me even though I was praying in English, you know what I mean? Like I'll say my out at the tree, I'll give thanks, I give my gratitude to the creator, because in my understanding, and maybe it contradicts some of my spiritual teachings, but in my spiritual understanding, I know the creator hears me, you know what I mean? And the creator hears you. But at the same time, it is still very important to learn our languages and to keep our languages alive and to keep our cultures alive, because they empower so many of us and they keep our cultures and everything strong. But yeah, I just wanted to add that little bit at the end there. Thank you all, miigwis.
Se busca, ley en la ficha pegada en el poste de la esquina para dar vuelta a mi cuadra. Cabello largo negro, uniforme de secundaria, la familia se preocupa, su papá sale a buscarla. Se busca, nunca volvió del trabajo, pantalón de mezclilla y camisa cuadros. Después de varios días en la ciudad preguntando, por fin en la fiscalía su esposa le hicieron caso. Se busca, Saben que lo detuvieron, no se lo llevaron solo, hubo testigos del hecho. Ahora dicen que no está, que no saben paradero, pero del operativo hablaron en el noticiero. Se busca, su mamá pagó el rescate, pero de su paradero desde entonces no se sabe. Han cubierto con su rostro varias calles principales. Hay una investigación abierta, pero no hay avances. En la justicia hay una investigación abierta, pero no hay avances. Y le seguimos buscando. Porque vivas se las llevaron, vivas las queremos, porque vivos se las llevaron. Ahora se hace indispensable presentación con vida y castigo a los culpables. Decidí compartir esta canción que se llama Se Busca, porque creo que es un tema y una herida abierta actualmente del lugar donde yo vengo.
I wanted to share this song that's called Se Busca, in search of, because this is an open wound from where I'm from right now.
México, igual que muchos países, tiene una violencia del Estado que ha hecho más presente las fuerzas policiales, las fuerzas armadas en las calles.
Mexico, such as other countries, is experiencing state violence right now, and we're seeing more police, more armed forces happening right now in Mexico.
Justificándose en que el Estado nos protege, pero lo que significa es más violencia para nuestros pueblos, nuestras comunidades, para nuestra gente que migra en estos territorios.
And the excuse is, well, it's a state protecting us, it's a country protecting us, but what this really means for us means more violence for people who are living there, people who are passing through and immigrating as well.
Y más violencia, claro, para los pueblos que defienden su territorio, porque mucho de esta violencia nos desplaza de nuestros territorios y nos arrebata la tierra.
And this also means violence for the people who are defending their lands. And this violence displaces us, and it also hurts people who are defending the land.
Actualmente en México se cuentan más de 90,000 personas desaparecidas.
Right now in Mexico, there's about more or around 90,000 people who are missing.
Pero esta es una cifra que no es exacta porque no se cuenta a todas las personas migrantes que en su tránsito, en su recorrido por el territorio, no pudieron llegar a este país, a Estados Unidos.
And this number is not exact because it doesn't count all the migrants who have crossed Mexico trying to reach the US.
Para mí la música ha sido también la forma en la que puedo hablar de estos temas incómodos, lo que como sociedad quisiéramos que no sucediera y quisiéramos no tener que hablarlo.
And to me, music is a way to talk about these uncomfortable topics, things that we don't want to talk about because we didn't wish that they were happening.
Porque justo son los que tenemos que hablar. Tenemos que poner en la mesa, tenemos que hablar en público, dialogar de esas violencias que hemos aceptado como sociedad.
And we have to talk about this. We have to talk about this. We have to talk about the violence that we have been facing as a society and the things that have been put on us. We have to accept it too.
Ahora mismo también me mueve esta canción porque en México hay una rapera desaparecida INOF desde el 8 de abril de este mes, de este año.
And right now, there's a rapper who has been missing since the 8th of April, whose name is Enough.
Y como ella, antes ya han desaparecido otras raperas, otros raperos que han sido desaparecidos por las fuerzas policiales, por el ejército o por el propio crimen organizado que violenta este territorio.
And also before her, there have been other rappers or artists that have gone missing by the hands of the police, by armies, or even through organized crime.
Eso sin hablar de las personas que han sido asesinadas. Tan solo en lo que va de la pandemia en Oaxaca, 11 defensores y defensoras han sido asesinadas en Oaxaca, defensores de la tierra.
And that's not counting the people that have been murdered. Right now, there have been 11 people in Oaxaca that have been murdered who are doing that work of defending.
Estas personas fueron asesinadas por los intereses económicos y no solo en el territorio de Oaxaca sucede, sino en todos los territorios que los pueblos defienden.
And this doesn't only happen in Oaxaca, but in all the territories that people are currently defending.
A veces hablar del arte, de la música, parece ser el lado bonito y quisiéramos que así fuera, pero también se acompaña de mucho dolor y de mucha necesidad de desahogar nuestros dolores.
And sometimes talking about art and music can be very beautiful, but there's also this side where we have to really see the hurt and be able to release that hurt as well through it.
Esta canción que yo presenté fue hecha por mí la letra, pero fue trabajada con un grupo de mujeres que buscan a sus familiares.
This song that I just presented, I worked on the lyrics, but I also worked with families of peoples whose people have been missing.
Y me gusta resaltar esto porque creo que al final la música se vuelve común cuando habla de no solo lo que atravieso yo, sino lo que estamos atravesando como sociedad.
And this not only talks about what I've gone through, what I'm going through, but it becomes part of our commonality, and it really talks about what we are going through.
Y una lección que aprendí también de las mujeres buscadoras es que no podemos esperar a que nos suceda para actuar como sociedad.
And something that I've also learned from the mujeres buscadoras or the searcher women is that we are not alone, that we don't have to wait, we have to go out and do it.
Y lo mismo sucede con todas las violencias. No te tiene que pasar a ti para que te importe. Lo que queremos es que no te pase a ti.
And this can be connected to all the different types of violences. You don't have to wait for it to happen to you, but really, we don't want it to happen to you.
Creo que ese es el trabajo de difusión que por lo menos yo intento hacer en primera persona para desahogarme y para encontrar también estas colectividades donde podamos dialogar al respecto.
And first, part of it is to get it out. I sing about it in first person to be able to say it, but really to also find the common points where we can move from there.
Y también entendiendo que en solitario no vamos a lograr mucho.
And also understanding that alone or being in solitude, we won't accomplish much.
Estoy de acuerdo con lo que comentaron los compañeros, que la música nos ayuda a sanar, que la música nos ayuda a seguir comunicando, pero también creo que nos ayuda a poder encontrar esos espacios donde podemos lidiar con esta violencia, donde podemos pelear contra esta violencia.
And it's true that music allows us to connect, to heal, to share knowledge, but also should help us to find our people, find the commonalities, to be able to deal with it and be also able to fight.
porque de otra manera esto nos va a seguir arrebatando la energía para poder crear otras cosas.
Because otherwise, this is going to keep taking and stealing our energy from the things that we want to create.
Seguro aquí mismo ustedes saben de muchas personas en resistencia desde los territorios o desde otras organizaciones en la propia ciudad. Hay que sumar esas fuerzas para poder hacer una vida más digna, una vida más vivible.
And we have to be coming together with the people who are currently fighting, who are in our places, to be able to come and be in resistance and be able to fight and join our forces to be able to create a dignified and just life.
Y hoy nuestro pretexto es la música, pero seguro podemos encontrar muchos pretextos más para seguirnos encontrando. Gracias por estar aquí y escuchar.
And today our excuse is music, but I'm sure that we can find a million other commonalities or excuses to be together. But thank you all for being here and listening to this today.
We have 5 minutes for questions. And while you think if you are going to ask, please come tonight at 6 p.m. to the club and invite all your friends to this beautiful gathering and concert. We're going to have a lot of good music and surprises. Someone would like to ask, share, comment?
I just want to say thank you all for sharing. That's very powerful and moving message coming from each of you, and I just really appreciate you coming here and sharing with us. It's very important and awesome to see these different cultures, how it comes together. I'm really excited for tonight.
Si alguno de ustedes quiere decir algo más, if you want to say something else,
Kind of a selfish plug, but you can follow me on social media. Tall Paul Hip Hop, TALLPAUL Hip Hop. Thank you. Come tonight to the event at 6 o'clock.
Pues sí, quiero presentar, andamos con trabajo musical, que lo traemos en USB con todos los álbumes y los cancioneros, las traducciones y también con camisetas. ¿Me puede ayudar, hermano?
And also wanted to share that we have our music collection, our album collection that's going to be available via USB, and we also have t-shirts that we're selling.